Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and today we have a wonderful episode. We are going on our 54th episode of the Respectfully Great podcast. I am super pumped. I am super ecstatic, and today we have a great episode scheduled for today. Man, it's going to be very, very thought-provoking. It's going to be something that is going to have intrinsic value, and I'm appreciative that you guys are showing up in real time so we can have this great, great dialogue. Before I get into the fit check, let's do this first so I can give the premise out, right? Just working on certain things in order to have the great structure so we can all be informative about what the podcast is actually going to be about. So let's start it off with this right here. Right now, every person listening to this podcast, this episode, right now is living in three different worlds. The first world is your digital persona, the version of you that exists on social media, on the internet, in the comments, photos, posts, and messages. The second world is your physical persona, the version of you that only experience when you shake someone's hand, hear the voice, and feel the presence of the world. That's our second persona. And the third, the world is the internal persona, the quiet voice. Shh, shh, don't say a word. Your beliefs, your fears, your values, your consciousness, and your true intentions. The problem is many people living three completely different identities. Online, they look confident. In person, they feel uncertain. Internally, they are confused about who they really are. Disconnect creates anxiety, compassion, imposter syndrome, and sometimes even loneliness. Because people may love the version of you that isn't the real you. But there's good news. When this happens, your digital presence becomes a tool, your physical presence becomes influence, and your internal presence becomes your compass, right? So today, we're going to break down the digital you, the physical you, and the internal you. We'll talk about the pros, the cons, the dangers, and how to bring them in alignment so you can show up powerful in every room, online, offline, and within yourself. That is the premise today. We are talking about the three personas. We're talking about the internet, the cyborg, the social media you. Then we also talking about the physical you, the one that you show up in person, you be able to shake people's hands, be able to touch, feel that person. Also, we are talking about the internal you, the one that whispers, the one that's quiet, the one that talks to you and you only, the one that voice that you only hear within your own mind, your own head. Only if you care to share with other people, that's the only person that you'll be able to connect with. Other than that, that person is disconnected from everybody else. Only that internal you can speak to the internal you. Today is going to be very, very wonderful. I'm super proud, super pumped, super ecstatic. Everybody that's in the chat right now, give some thumbs up. Jonathan in the building, Lizzie in the building, Jackie in the building. What's up, loved ones? It's nothing but love and appreciation today. I'm super pumped, super ecstatic, and that is the premise for what's going down today on today's episode, the 54th episode of the Respectfully Great podcast. As you know, right, we are going on maybe a third or fourth week without our hardware, right? We have some mishaps due to the fact that we have some malfunctioning things that's going on with my internal interface, a bunch of other things that's going on, but we are reconnecting. Those things are getting serviced. We are still working to update everything else. We have got a lot of electronics that are going to be updated in the near future, so just work with us. As of today, I'm going to project my voice to make sure that we're going to be heard. Other than that, I don't have my soundboard. Right now, I want to give you guys a round of applause. Yeah, woo, yeah, woo, 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 woo. But although when I want to make the sound of the horns, bah, 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 you get all of these things like I'm the human beatbox, right? I'm over here being, what's his name? Dougie Fresh. Like Dougie Fresh, but all good, all good. We're gonna find ways to make things work. That is the idea around everything that we do, is that we find innovative ways to make things continuously move forward in a forward progression manner. So I thank you guys for having the patience. I appreciate you guys showing up in real time. All of these things count and they matter to me, and I know that everybody else out there, it matters to them because you guys are super insightful. You guys have great insights and dialogues and perspectives, and these are the things where it allows us to be more forward thinking in our ideas because we get challenged on them. Sometimes there's certain things that align with us, certain things may disconnect, but ultimately we're coming together to find out and seek through truth. So I appreciate everybody in that manner, right? Um, Also, before we get started, we got to do an honorary fit check. It's only right. This is what we do. So today, I had to start off. How about we go with the fresh haircut? Shout out to my barber, man, Fonz, man. My boy did numbers today, man. You see that? That boy, nice, clean, good fade game, cleaned up, nice tape on the side. Really right. Really right. Good beard game lined up, finessed, legendary. So we got to start off with the shape up, the haircut. Fine right there. See the ways, man. Don't get seasick. You dig? Also, we got the boogers in here, right? I call the boogers. These are the earrings, man. These are very um glowy. These are glowy right here, right? These are some things that I love to put on because it just makes me feel good. Love to shine. This is a part of my aesthetic that I love to wear because it makes me feel that diamond in the rough that you shine up. You say, you know what? Even though this at one point in time or another was a diamond that was in the rough, but we're going to shine through and actually become that diamond. So it's sentimental in that manner as well. As you can see around the neck, yeah, we got the nice bandana. Your boy feeling real preppish right now. I'm getting really prepared for my brother's wedding in due time. Yeah, be going down. Check out bros, all of the family down there in the Carolinas. Um, your brother Rashad, big day for him and his wifey. Taylor is going to be a beautiful, exciting event. Shout out to my brother and all of the loved ones that's going to be in attendance. But you see, I'm really getting that cowboy vibe because it's a cowboy theme. So I got the sweat bandana around the neck. So, in case your boy get, a little hot, I'd be able to wipe off the sweat, man, because we're going to be working hard and we're going to be grinding during this episode. This is what you see around the neck, man. Pretty dope, pretty fashionable. Also, I'm a wrist guy. I'm like the wristwear. That's part of my aesthetics. I love to have some form of wristwear things around my wrist. I told you when I was growing up, and this is a compliment to my brother, Raul as well, because he said this is something I remember this from our podcast episode. And he said that he was one of those individuals that wore a lot of things on his wrist as well. So it always came down to wristbands, rubber bands, etc. I've done the same thing. And here it is now that I transitioned into having a lot of wristwear. So as you can see, I have one of my watches on, always to tell time, also to make sure that I don't be late. Occasionally I may do, but it's all good. But ultimately, just remind ourselves that time isn't promised to no one. Time is going to continuously go on no matter what the occasion is. And you want to be somebody that understands time and how to utilize your time wisely. So this is why I have this pullover on. It has the indices around it. Pretty nice. I love it. It has a real calm, smooth look. So I love it. I also love the strap on it. It has a bunch of parts where you just hold in the end of the strap. I love how they got the double, as you can see it, the double pointers on the end. Pretty dope, man. So overall, man, I just think that it's a nice classic watch, and overall, it just adds to the aesthetics. That's what it is. Hopefully, you guys have something out there comfortable on, making sure that you have your aesthetic right. If you are in your comfortable vibes, if you just came from work, if you just came from school, if you're out there hitting the nightlife, if you're out there just ripping and running, casual look, dress down, dress up, or you going to the runway. Let me know what you got on today. Let me know some of your favorite pieces, some of your favorite garments. What is something is a must-have that you have to have on every day that you leave the house? Sometimes some people say, I can't leave the house without some of my essentials, my telephone, right? Some people say, I cannot leave the home without my telephone. Other people may say, you know what? I can't leave the home without my wallet. Come on, you got to have that money on. So you can't leave the house without no money, right? Some people say it's that thing. Some people may say that, hey, I can't leave the house without my lucky hat, my lucky charm, etc. Ultimately, hopefully these things, these possessions, these materialistic things, or if they have sentimental value, long as it has value to you, I think that's where we bring life, into some of our aesthetics and our looks. I think our looks are surrounded about around how we feel. I think it coincides. You look how you feel how you look. And I think that one hand, rolls over with the other and says, you know what, here together, this is what we doing when I come and I put this attire on. So I think it's dope in that manner. Let me know what you got, what you're wearing today, some of your favorite pieces, some of your favorite garments. What is it that you got on today that allow you to feel like the best version of you? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Jonathan says, yo, my dog, what's up, my boy? Jonathan is in the building. Jonathan, Goat Soccer, come on, my boy. He's out there doing his one, too. He's stepping, putting that pain in. Marable Spence, what's up, level 1990? What's good, God? We are in the building today. Yo, it's going to be a bunch of energy, man. Bunch of energy. I'm pumped. And I think that this conversation spawned upon us because there's some things that I've just been watching when it comes to some of my reading material, when it came to the internet, when I'm trying to connect on another level. As of lately, I've been pushing myself in other areas where it takes a lot of effort, right? The areas that I'm going in when it comes to my strength training, when it comes to my focus outside of the gym, when I'm working on my business, when I'm working at my 9 to 5, when I'm doing all of these things, I'm juggling, I'm trying to be the best version of me when I'm in these spaces. But it also made me think about not only wearing the different hats, it made me think about how do I show up in these different spaces? Am I the same person that you see on the internet, that you see in real life, that I actually connect with when it comes to my internal self, right? That other consciousness, the other voice, right? That voice when that speaks when no one else hears it, but you hear it, right? Right? That consciousness when nobody's saying anything, but those thoughts are running through, and you are saying things to yourself. I ask myself, well, how does these three align? Can it be confusing? What voice should lead or what persona should lead depending on what arena or what field I choose to be in or what domain or what space I choose to occupy? How do I show up? What version of me shows up? I think this is a great conversation to allow us to get more insight about who you are. Sometimes this can draw a lot of disconnect. Sometimes people say, I'm me like this all the time, all day, every day, and I'm not changing. And all well, that may be fine and dandy. But does that serve you to the highest level? That is the question. I ask myself that question. Hey, am I the same persona on the internet that I am in real life? Are there things that may differ? Are there things that may be similar? What version should I bring to each arena or each domain or each realm? How do I supposed to show up? Should I give my internal thoughts, feelings, and emotions on the internet? Should I bring my physical attribute to the internet? Should I get, should I bring the physical aspect to the internet? Or should I bring the physical aspect in another space or should I keep the physical just in the physical in real time? Who knows? Who knows? I want to have dialogue around this because I want to have some insight on how do you approach these things. There are many situations where I have done the same far as I'm on the internet, I'm on the real life in real life, and I only keep the internal with the internal. But I know there are various times in my life, various times in my life where I have shown up not so much different, but I also may have give a different side of myself that normally I wouldn't do, depending on the circumstance, the environment, the conditions, what conversations were brought about. I think all of these things need some looking and some magnifying glass to put up on it, because I think that when we start to identify who's who, what is what, and what version to use there, then we can get really insightful about how we show up and how we can best serve ourselves and others. And I think that is the key ultimately. Ultimately, I think that there's so many things that we can draw out of ourselves to be best versions of ourselves. And there's so many things that we can do that actually can negate that same aspect to work against us and leave us further astray, further away from who we desire to be. And these are the things that I think we need conversation around, because there's some things in my life that I was led astray. I thought that me showing up as this real person, real life in real time, when I showed up as that person, it led me down some paths where that wasn't favorable to me. Shadow NY, what's up, loved one? There's some things that transpired during the course of my life where internally I was really in my own mind, and I had to prove something to myself. I thought I had to prove something to myself, and it led me down the wrong path. There's some times where I showed up on the internet and I heard some comments where I wanted to respond, and I want to say, you know what, let me bring my real ideas to this person, this thing, or this bot, and let me show that bot my real intentions on who I am. You know, I'm big bad X, Y, and Z. Or let me show the side of the intellect, or let me show the softer side. Let me show the vulnerable side. How do we do these things? Where do we draw the line at? See, here on our platform, it's a safe space for us to show up the best version of ourselves, to be open and honest. Oh, what's up, loved one? Peace, God. I love this platform because I'm able to share some sentiments normally that I may keep by myself, because these are some of the thoughts that I have with some other people, but mainly the thoughts I carry out when I'm talking to myself. When I sit by myself and look myself in the mirror and have my quiet time. Some of these conversations, actually, majority of the conversations that we have here is a lot of conversations that I have internally, and then I keep running into these same questions. And a lot of times, what I thought is that when I stayed inside of my head, I wasn't able to get out these thoughts, and I wasn't able to have conversation around them. I was looking for some answers, and I didn't have the help or the aid of other people around me or my trusted advisors to share their light on this situation. Because I know that I don't have all of the answers to everything. I know I can always be a problem solver. I know I can be bigger than a problem, but it takes some work. It takes some more insight. It takes different types of data, because maybe the way I was learned and taught, maybe that method doesn't work in this day and age. Maybe how I carry my mannerisms, and depending on what environment, maybe how I show up in that time and space, maybe it's not suitable for that environment. Maybe I may show up to 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 close-minded per se, right? Say I'm just standoffish and I say, you know what, I'm not open to new ideas, then I may cut off my opportunities, because I can't think outside of the box, because I was taught in this environment, hey, you never show signs of weakness. And I may look at conversation as a sign of weakness when I'm sharing my real thoughts and my perspectives. So maybe that may be something that's limiting me. Who knows? But I know that I was faced with this dilemma at various times in my life. And I know that here today, we can have conversation around it to see if we all feel the same things, or how do we handle the same things. Maybe the pressure may feel too much to where we may resort to other things that work against us. We may fall back into some unwarranted habits. We may pick up some vices. We may do some activities that actually work against our better and greater good. It may actually handicap and hinder us from being the best version of ourselves. It may be that roadblock that we constantly hitting that wall. They say, you know what, construction going on over here. You can't come through this way. And maybe I keep going to this construction site every day, and I haven't found a different route. I kept letting this pit hole, or this manhole in the middle of the road, keep stopping me from getting to my destination. And I keep seeing this a reoccurring, a redundant thing continuously showing up, showing up, showing up. And I keep saying to myself, well, why can't I overcome this thing? Why don't I have the insight to get me over this hump, to get me around this roadblock, to take another route, have the confidence to say, you know what, maybe the shortcut isn't the way. Maybe the longer way is the way. I ask myself all of these questions, and then now I come to my senses and say, well, who else feels like this? Have you ever felt like that? What have you done in those circumstances? What happened when you was told no? What happens when you was always told yes? What happens if you didn't have no insight and you had to navigate on your own? What mistakes have you made? What W's were you able to count? What version of you did you have to show up as? When people see, it's funny, when I watch, take this as an example, when I watch some things on the media, right? And they show a persona, a person, a character, a person that's on the internet, right? And I see them doing whatever it is that they do, whatever field of expertise that they choose to occupy. And then when they go and they show up in different places, when they just want to be humanized, right? They just want to be, I'm just a regular human. They say a lot of the athletes and, stars and people that, quote unquote, other people idol, when they go into these spaces. And some people say, I just want my own time and space, because they're so accustomed to being around so many people, and they just want to be able to walk into the grocery store and get some food and some fruit and not really be bothered, because they're bombarded with so many people on a daily basis. But when you see that human side of them, when you want to be human, but people don't treat them in real time as the physical, they treating them as if the star or the person or the persona that they've seen on the internet. Sometimes I see frustration come out from the human side of the person. So when I see these things, I say to myself, oh, that person has emotions. That person feels. Right now, they want to be owned into real time and space and real time for where they are and embrace that. But sometimes they're not able to do such because the world deemed them as, hey, I still see you as the persona that I seen on the media on the internet. Maybe that person just want a peace of mind by themselves and they want to be internally. They say, you know what, let me just go and gracefully go around, doing my own thing to get a peace of mind, not knowing that the world is still coming at them. How do they balance that? How do you feel in your everyday life to feel like, hey, when it comes just to responsibility, you have to wear certain hats at all times. If you have loved ones, if you have family, if you have children, if you have obligations, if you have businesses that you got to uphold, if you have workloads that you got to continually seek out, if you got proposals to do, you have to manage money, you have to do all of these things, be abreast of your bills, you have to do all of these things, calculations continuously. But what happens when you miss that one bill? They don't care. They still gonna ring you up. Hey, you got a late. You're gonna get a late fee on that, and you may get banged across your head with the credit. So now that comes with a certain level of consequences. Something that you can't neglect. Something that you can't turn off. Yes, we have apps and stuff that we put on autopilot, but you got to make sure that the money's in the account. You got to make sure that the account is accurate. Make sure they not making sure that they're not charging you twice. All of these things. So now it causes for you to have certain levels of attention at all times. Even some of the hats that we wear, we say, you know what? Although I don't want to deal with this today, maybe you can't turn off that off switch. That on switch is continuously on, and maybe you can't turn that on switch off. So now it comes to the levels of responsibility of what you want to deal with every day. Sometimes we step into this realm, this field, this world that we are living in. Sometimes we approach it from the manner of saying, "Hey, I want this. I want to bring this into my world. I want to exist. I want this. I want to experience this." And then when you get what you ask for, you say, "You know what? I didn't sign up for this aspect of it. Nobody told me about this side." See, we've seen the shiny object syndrome. We say, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to acquire this thing right here. And then you get that thing, but you don't understand that there's a responsibility that's attached. So now when you showed up in a manner of saying, you know what, I came here in real time. I came here on the internet. I came here in my own mind. I brought these elements to the forefront. And I want people to accept such. I want people to accept such. And when they do, you got to uphold that persona at all times, even though that's part of you. But do you get the opportunity to turn it on and off? Who knows? If you built up a character, a person, a persona, you built up you became the person that you desired to be. Also, remind yourself that there is a level of responsibility that comes with that. Most people say, "Man, I want to have the money without the fame." Some people say, "I want the fame whether I have the money or not." It don't make no difference. I just want the notoriety. Who knows? It's subjective. It's up to you. What I'm saying is that how do you deal with every day when you're dealing with this level of pressure? When you have to show up every time, wear this hat, this other character, this other part of you. How do you show up with that part of you leading? Or are you supposed to lead with that person in front at all times? How about, like you say, we see some of this personnel that may be on the internet and they're internet sensation, but they just want to be humanized. Then what happens when they come into the regular street, want to go into a store and want to go hang out at a ball game, but they bombarded with the world around them, and they say, "Man, I only came here just to unwind." Is that the place for them to do such? To do that? Who knows? What I'm saying is that I see these things in real time. I know there's things that I go through in my life where I say, hey, am I willing to wear this hat 24/7? Or do I have time and space where I can separate it? Or when I'm in the physical, when I'm in my own space, when I'm in my own element, when I go to the gym, do I want to be bothered? Or when I go and I hang out with family, do I want the outside world to impede what's going on with me and my interpersonal things? Or when I having talks with oneself and I need to go meditate and I give praise and I really align myself with the creator, do I want to be disturbed in that manner? What happens if I am disturbed and I gotta attend to another responsibility? Am I able to separate that? See, when I was a people pleaser, right, there wasn't so much time for me because I was always at someone else's beck and call. When someone else needed me, I always shown up. And then after a while, I started to feel like, hey, I love to do this. I love to look out for people, but there's some other things I would love to do at this particular time with my own time. When I wasn't able to do such, then I became kind of resentful. Man, I didn't sign up for this. I kind of did. I didn't know that there was a level of responsibility that came with it. Hey, there's nothing wrong with wanting to adhere, to be there. But how do you find the way to make sure that you're able to sustain longevity? I think that's one of the keys to allow us to continuously grow is figuring out, okay, how do I separate these times and spaces to make sure that I be productive in the manner that I would love to be productive? How do I figure out systems and ways to make sure that when it comes to my finances, my bills, that I got things maybe in autopilot, so I don't have to draw so much attention every day when the bill's coming in, because my bills are all over. One bill come on the second, one on the third, one on the fifth, one on the ninth, one on the 12th, one on the 15th. How do I manage all of these things? This when we start putting in certain systems to allow it to be more efficient. And then maybe instead of checking on it every other day, maybe I could check on it maybe twice in the middle of the month, the 15th and the 30th. Make sure that the money, everything's in the account. Go take one day or hour, whatever I need to take in order to go over the books. More effective system. What about when I come and I do my due diligence, when I come and I talk to the world about my message through media? How do I show up in that manner? You're going to get challenged in certain areas. I know I get challenged a lot. I get challenged in private. I get challenged in public. I get challenged about my perspectives, my ideas. What I learned throughout it all is that I have a message and you have a message as well. Your message, I know your message is strong, but if you're not rooted in your conviction, then anybody can tamper with it. And what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong to be challenged on your ideas and your beliefs, right? Because I think it allow you to get to more truth and more. It allow you to search for more rooms, allow you to search for more room to be rooted in your conviction and be tested to make sure that, okay, whatever I'm standing on, I can really say that this is what I believe, and I hold this in high regard, and I'm willing to seek this out. I'm willing to stand by this because I know that I did my due diligence. I know that it comes back to me to where it hits me home. It hits home for me, and I know I'm able to say, "Hey, this is where my conviction is at. This is where I see myself going, growing. This is how I'm able to redefine and shape my purpose and create from these perspectives." And I think that when you're able to do such, it allows you to have more room for growth. So what I say is that even though there are things I may be challenged on, there are going to be people that should say, you know what, hey, maybe I'm gonna just target you because I want to. I'm not rooted in my belief system, so I'm gonna target yours. See, a lot of times, not just to be combative, but the thing is that a lot of times people just share their ideas and you're hoping that they could deter you from yours. Affordable car rentals. What's up, cuzzo? Cuzzo in the building. Let me say that again. Sometimes some people may throw things out the wall because they're not rooted in your conviction. They're not rooted in their conviction. They just want to throw you off yours. They want to throw you off your belief system. They say, you're thinking too much. You're thinking too far. You'll never be able to own this. You'll never be able to acquire this money. You'll never be this happy in your relationships. You will never be able to do for others. You may never be at the top of the pinnacle. But that's their belief system. And sometimes people, when they doubt self, they try to put that doubt on you. But you got to tell yourself, you know what? I'm rooted differently. I'm wired differently. The neurons in my brain connect a little bit different. I go out there and I see challenges because I heard this from Laura Boyd. She said that when you do more difficult tasks, it strengthens the mind and the brain. So once you become stronger, not submissive and docile, when you're not sitting there idle and you can't think outside of the box, you start to regain some level of strength that other people can't take. That's that internal talk. That's that internal strength. That's that, not the strength that show up on the internet. That's not the strength that should show up physically while you're in the gym. That's that internal strength that nobody can take away from you. We talked about this the other day, right? About Cam, what's up, cousin? What's up, loved one? We talked about this the other day. We talked about the Mandela, right? Nelson Mandela. He did 40 years inside of a prison. Then he came out. Something that's super, super ironic and dope. There's a lady by got a name. Got it. Fiona Broom. Fiona Broom. She actually coined the phrase in 1980 around called the Mandela effect. At that time, Nelson Mandela, around the 1980s, it was known, and there's other people that had this conviction because it was told through media, told through the internet, told through television sets, they were told that Nelson Mandela was unalived in prison. That's the way he transcended to another realm, right? But then years later, 40 years later, he walks out of prison. People are baffled. People are like, wait, what's going on here? But there was a point in time, in that time and space, where we thought that this man wasn't living. And here it is that he's walking out now out of the system. What I'm saying is that in these times and spaces, right, nobody knows what's going on in here and what you believe in your perspective. Sometimes that belief is so strong that you may be able to make things appear that no one else have the visibility or foresight to see. Sometimes you have a vision that other people just don't understand. Before it happens, you're already projecting that what's going to happen in the near future because of what you do at this very moment. When I talk about these things, people get that's mumbo jumbo. You can't really manifest. Every day that you lay down, every time you have a thought, it's part of your manifestation, whether you believe it or not. Sometimes these thoughts, these perspectives that come across our mind, it's simply whether you want to hold on to them or not as a belief, or if you want to dismiss it and say, you know what, I don't want to hold on to this thought. But that thought can materialize, because every day that you sit up and you say, you know what, you got to feed yourself, you got to eat, you decide on what food you want to eat. That's you actually prepared in a form of manifestation of saying, you know what, today I want to have a bison burger. Today I want to have some kelp. Today I feel like having some sea moss. Today I feel like having X, Y, and Z. That thought had to come from somewhere. That thought didn't come from nowhere. It came from that internal consciousness. You grabbed that from somewhere, part of manifestation. But when you start putting those other stronger thoughts and belief systems in place, some other people are saying, oh, that guy, he or she is, they're out of their mind. Yeah, I may be out of my mind. I may be in another time and space, but I have the thought and the foresight internally to believe something that's so strong in my conviction that it will materialize in due time. But these are the things that people want to take away from us, saying that you don't have the ability to do such. So when we have these things, sometimes it can feel like you are being targeted. Your message may be targeted because you are convinced and they're not. But ultimately, it's not about what they believe, and it's about how strong you are in your belief. Because there are other people that believe the same thing. There are other people that want to attach themselves to things that's unthinkable, because they want to change the trajectory of their lives. They want to do things that's unimaginable. They want to do the great things that people said that they can't do. All those misnomers and those disbeliefs that people put upon themselves, right, from other people, places, and things. They said, nah, we're not going by that status quo. I am great internally. I am great physically. I am great on the net. I am in all facets. I am great. But there will be something along their way and along their journey to want to, remove you from that idea. One of the biggest personnels that can remove you from that idea is yourself, because you don't believe. And this is where we need to start getting challenged more. This is why I think this is a perfect concept, idea that we can shed light on today, because every day we are living out some form of us, some version of us. We can show up in a certain manner every day by choice. This is a profound quote. There's a young gentleman that goes around. He interviews nothing but billionaires. I think he even interviewed over 40 billionaires. And there's one billionaire that he came across in Philadelphia, a black man. And he ran across him, and the guy didn't really want to give him an interview. But he said, you know what? I give you the time of day. I don't want to listen to you. And then the guy started talking to him. He started giving business advice and talking about the businesses that he had, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then he said something that's very, very profound. He said that we come into this world looking like our mothers and our fathers, but we exit this world, we leave this world looking like our decisions. Let me run that back one more time. That is super, super profound. He said that we come into this world looking like our mothers and our fathers, but we exit this world, we leave this world looking like our decisions. What does that tell you? That tells you that your decisions are so, so powerful. Whether you do, whether you don't do, to be or not to be, that is the question. Literally, that is the question. By your choice, you have the ability to do or not do. But the thing is, along our journeys, we are taught not to be self-sufficient. We are taught to make sure that we just depend on whoever outside of self. And while we here on Respectfully Great Podcast, we try to reinstill the thought and the belief that you can acquire, you can manifest, you can go work, you can project, you can put these thoughts and these perspectives and the ethos into the world to make sure that you go out there and you can acquire the thing that you say you want to experience. Because there's things in my life where I had to hold on to say, you know what, I'm really rooted in this thing and I want this to come true and I want this belief. And I kid you not, majority of things that I actually sit down and put my mind towards actually comes to reality. There's some other things that haven't materialized yet because I started to plan myself further down the line with bigger goals. But on things that are minute on a smaller scale, I pretty much get those things at will because of how much conviction I already have around these things. When I say I want to go to this place, I envision this place, somehow I end up there. When I say I want to acquire this level of insight about or around a particular thing, the answers come to me. When I say I want to go and I want to provide in such manner, I start to have the ability to do such. When I say, hey, you know what, today I want to be able to stretch this, I want to make this, I want to do that. Somehow, the pockets, the wealth of knowledge starts to be filled. The brain starts to fill up with insight on how to. And I'm like, man, where did this thought come from? It was the initial seed that was planted. And that was that internal thought that I started to think around self, like, oh, that conversation I started having with internally. And then I got to the actionary things, the things that I started to do in real time in the physical, actually putting the legwork in. And then I go in there and project it in a world where I want to strengthen my message. And then that starts to become a stronger belief because I'm convinced. The thing is that when we start to understand how we can put this energy and direct it in the right manner, you start to do the unthinkable. And I think that's why we are here today, because a lot of times we may come up against things to that want to negate that. Mainly self, mainly self. But ideally, we want to be able to remove those I can'ts from our vocabulary. I started to hear something the other day about the Black Law Dictionary, right? And it was talking about the Black Law Dictionary on how we, how when you in the judicial, when you in, say the judicial system, they use Black law, right? And they use the almost to a degree, almost like the etymology, the true essence of these words. To my knowledge, I haven't done so much renowned work on it, but I just heard when we say things like I understand, meaning that you put yourself under instead of above. So you got to say you overstand and you understand. It's the way that we able to use language. A lot of times there's languages that we use that are strengthening, that are empowering. And then other times we are using languages that are submissive. We are using languages that almost, if you would say, cower or low frequency, low vibration. There's certain languages when we start to use from the power of our tongue, we don't actually give power and credence. They say even when you want things written down, not just from a ritual perspective, when you write your ideas down, you want to sign it not only in black ink, right? You want to sign it in red ink, right? And it signifies strength and power. So when we start to learn some of these modalities and learn some of these ways in order to strengthen everything that we do, we start to get different insight and you start to empower yourself. And then you start to empower the things that you believe in, because now you bring in something else to the table that was missed. You brought something else to the table that was missed. A lot of times we just run into these walls and can't figure out, well, why am I here? It's because we haven't taken on different perspectives to allow ourselves to grow. Not just attach ourselves to things, but do the further research because everything requires it. Everything requires further research. Every time you're taking a new idea, a new belief system, now it's for you to say, you know what, let me go to the drawing board and figure out what this thing is right here. How can I use this for my better and greater good? How can I apply this into some of the things that I want to acquire? How can I apply this to my studies? How can I apply this to my wealth? How can I apply this to my happiness? How can I apply this to my purpose? How can I go out there and I use these things to strengthen my purpose? I started to fall in a space where I started to understand, oh, you know what? You may be stronger than you know. I started to believe in myself on another level to feel like, oh, nothing is off the table. What's her name? Something Simone. This is where I take the analogy from all the time. She said, if you don't put it on the table, it's not an option. What's her name? B. Simone? I think it's B. Simone, if I'm not mistaken. But she said that if you don't put it on the table, it's not an option. So meaning that anything that you want to bring into your world, you first have to put it on the table as an option. Because if you cut yourself off of it, there's no way you'll be able to acquire it. I used to do that to myself at all times. I used to say, you know what, I'm not worthy of. I'm not able because I haven't acquired the knowledge yet. Oh, I haven't done this level of study. I haven't done this level of this. What I started to learn is that everybody can be a student and teacher interchangeably. I watch from my nieces, my nephews, my children. I watch everybody around me. I watch the elders. I listen to the elders. I watch my peers. I watch what they do. I listen to what they do. I listen to the insight, and I say, you know what? Everybody has a message. Everybody has a message, and sometimes some of these messages work for them so well that you start to believe, you know what? Hey, I, I kind of believe in that too. I believe in respecting others to the highest regard. So what I start to do is say, you know what? I followed the page today. This how profound it is. Um, I was on I was on YouTube and I came across a page where this gentleman, only thing he was doing was giving people compliments. So he would walk in the streets and people walking past, he would stop them and he would find something to compliment them on. He will find something to compliment them on. You know, this is profound because this is how I know these things align. Because I was talking to my brother Ronnie Ruggiero as well when we did our podcast, and he said one thing he notices when he go into rooms, he asserts himself. He don't have to insert himself in the conversation, but he strengthened a way to remember people names. And he said what he does is he look at the personnel and he give them a compliment on something. It may be the way they talk, the way they dress, etc. And he remembers that about them personnel. He gives them a compliment. He said that stuck in my psyche, and it never left. And then it resurfaced today, because when I was on the internet, subconsciously, this is how the mind works. I wasn't consciously thinking about what me and my brother were talking about. Me and Ronnie was talking about. But I seen a personnel on the internet where only thing he was doing his whole YouTube channels that he had nothing but a plethora of videos. Only thing he's doing throughout the segment of his videos is stopping people in public and giving them compliments. He seen one personnel, hey, I like your tattoo. Oh, thank you, thank you. Hey, I like your watch. Another personnel. Oh, well, thank you. Yo, man, I really like your hat today, man. I had this fly. Oh, thanks, bro. Chill. Seen a lady walk past. Hey, I like your heels. Thank you so much. Complimenting. Complimenting. I said, oh, that's powerful. That's powerful. Being able to recognize something outside of yourself to give credence to other people. I'm like, oh, he found a way to connect with people to make sure that they go better. Letting other people know that you're recognized, that you matter. I think those things count. It counted so much to me that subconsciously I attracted to that and I subscribed to that page today. But this seed was already planted in my psyche. Because when I had this conversation with my brother Ronnie over a month ago, we talked about, or we had dialogue around, but he the one that planted the seed around saying, hey, you know, when I go and I meet people, I try to strengthen and make sure that I don't forget people. So I remember their names. I remember something about them. I compliment them on something. So I know that be able to embed in my brain. So I'm going to be able to build and have stronger relationships. When he said that, I said, oh, I'm taking a page from Ronnie's book because I'm going to strengthen my relationships. I used to see personnel, and I used to go, I see the person at that very moment and I forget their name. I won't remember anything about them. I try not to get interpersonal, but I also understand that in order for me to draw a stronger connection, I got to start doing some of these things to make sure that the person knows that they matter in my world, right? So this is what I started to do. I said, okay, let's take notice. But subconsciously, I started to see these things show up in my world. When Ronnie planted that seed, then I seen his personnel on YouTube giving everybody compliments. I'm like, okay, that's how I want to show up. I want to show up to where I can make people feel good. I want to show up to where I can make other people feel confident. I want to make sure I show up and make sure people know that they recognize that they matter, that they recognize in my world and they matter. I'm gonna let people know that, hey, listen, you can go in this world and do whatever it is that you desire. if you lead it with the right intentions, if your heart is in the right place, if you do the work, all of these things can be acquired. But it first starts with self. What work are you willing to do? Once you start building up internally, then you can affect the masses. You can actually be in purpose. Kiwi, 1820 711. You can go out there and fulfill purpose, and you can go out there and do the unthinkable. When I watch things, when I read, when I sit with oneself, and I reminisce, and I think about time, place, and I project myself what's going on in the near future, I say to myself, man, that would be wonderful, right? That would be great, right? Oh yeah, you know what? I'm set out to do that. So the more and more I show up in purpose, ideally these opportunities will come. These things will show up. And then now I'll be able to get to a point in my life where I can be fulfilled and say, you know what, my work here, even though it's never done till it's all said and done. But I say, you know what, I know why I'm here experiencing the physical. I know that I can feel accomplished because I know I've done the work. And that's what I'm set out to do every day. Same way that you can do the same things. You can set out to be in purpose. It's never too late. You start today. It's never too late. Once you start identifying who we are, I think knowing thyself gives you the leverage. Because when you don't know yourself, you can be disconnected very, very easily. People can lead you astray. Things can be dangled in front of your face. As far as shiny object syndrome, you should just go for the bait, right? You could just, when they had the fishing line, they had the money in front of them, and they just had the person just chasing the money with no direction. That can happen. We can go out there and just chase false narratives, false prophets, false whatever it may be, things that just really don't align with purpose. We can go out there and constantly be on the chase instead of creating. I know that I don't want to be out there just chasing. I don't want to be just chasing. I want to be a creator. I want to be someone out there that's able to connect on levels that I wasn't even able to think or see at a point in time in my life. Now that I know these things are possible, now I can go out there with the idea that, oh, you know what? Let's start planting these seeds. Because the more and more I stay in my conviction, things will show up to say, you know what? Now you're on code. You in purpose. When Ronnie planted that seed, it's no coincidence that it showed up today in another form. It's just making sure that, hey, now you see what's going on. So now that's more incentive for me to be that personable person. I love to connect with people on those levels, but now we can strengthen that. Let's be better at it. Let's not miss the opportunity to be able to make sure that I can spread that message. So every opportunity that I got in order to spread the message of growth, positivity, love thyself, all of these things can be expressed through the one act of saying, you know what, let me look out for the other person. Now, hey, how you doing today? How your day going? Asking the question, complimenting. All of these things are intertwined of who I want to stand for, who I want to be, and how I want my purpose to be created. I want my purpose to be created around people. Of course, I know I'll be fulfilled. Jim Rome said that if you help enough people get what they want, you eventually get what you want. So my whole premise is being able to turn a leaf and making sure that we have the belief that we can do anything that we want to do. So the more and more I keep reinstilling the belief that everything is a possibility, everything is if you put it on the table, is an option. Now I understand that, you know what? Hey, like B. Simone said, if you put it on the table as an option, put whatever you want on the table. Alex Hormozy said, man, get the biggest bone you can gnaw on. So you know that, listen, I could go out there and I could shoot for the moon and the stars. Because you're going to feel accomplished once you do a thing. Pat yourself on the back. No one else may do it, but that's okay. It's okay that you'll be able to recognize oneself and say, you know what? Hey, I got the power. I got the strength. I got the wherewithal. I got the actionary things. I want to go out there and put that work in. I'm able to go out there and align myself with people, personnel, to make sure that I'm connected and rooted in a way that allow me to grow and expand, to scale, or to scale character. How do we scale our character? How can we just continuously pour on oneself to make sure that we level up as people? Show more acts of love, show more acts of compassion, show more acts of understanding of other people. I see one of the saddest things on the internet. It was two mothers lost their children just through the acts of violence. 12 years old, two girls from fighting. And we say to ourselves, well, the mother kept saying, well, where's the love? We got to start loving one up, break it down. She's crying. And I say to myself, Where are we spreading? Where does the hatred come from? Where does the hatred come from? A lot of times it's taught through practices. Then we start to hate oneself or dislike oneself, and then we want other people to feel that same pain, so we act that out. That's why we need more healing. We need more therapy. We need more conversations. We need more things that we can connect to when it comes to humanitarian things. Find the right tribe of people that you could connect with. Find the right environment you need to be in. Find the right environment within oneself so you got peace with oneself. Allow yourself to heal. We never get to those places first if we don't allow ourselves to look ourselves in the mirror. If we keep avoiding the mirror, every time the mirror show up, we keep dodging the mirror. We keep dodging the mirror. And then we wondering why we can't face or overcome the things that's actually holding us back. You won't never be able to face the things that are stopping us from getting to that next levels if we don't address them. Jonathan, tell your father and your family I said hello and I wish them nothing but many, many blessings. Tell them they are raising wonderful, wonderful children with you and your brothers. You and your brothers. They're raising wonderful children. Tell them I commend them. And I hope he hears me and say, great job, Dad. Thumbs up. Great job, Dad. Great job. Absolutely. These are the things that we can really, really start to connect with. Once we start understanding that, the love, not the hatred. Not the hatred. It's sad these beautiful souls wasn't able to live out their physical experience in the near future because of acts of violence. In what environments are we taught to love one another? How do we express that? Sometimes it takes a simple conversation. And I think that is one of the keys. Just because a person disagrees with you, that doesn't mean that we have to take it to blows. So are we strengthening communication? Are we finding more ways to connect on those levels? My little brother Jonathan says, we are getting ready to go to see my brother in Mexico. He got caught from ICE and got deported. So we leaving tomorrow morning. Wow. I hope everything works out with you and your family, and I hope your brother be able to be reunited with you and your family. I wish you guys nothing but prayers. I'm going to be praying for you guys, and I want you guys to be strong in strength and showing that unity with one another. And you guys are surrounded with nothing but love. I know that your brother will feel the love because you guys are traveling from here all the way down to Mexico to be reunited and doing everything you guys possibly can do. So I send your family with nothing but prayers and blessings on your journey. And I hope you guys come back in one piece also with your brother. And if that is not the case for whatever reason, understand there are things that's going to work out in your favor in due time. So don't get discouraged. It may be a journey. It may be something that you guys have to overcome, but the journey is necessary. And I think you guys are taking a right step in that direction by just asserting yourselves and going out there and trying to reunite with family. I think that is the most beautiful thing. So I commend you on your journey. I love you guys. I want to give you guys nothing but prayers and blessings on your journey. And I hope everything works out in due time because I know it will. Vaughn, what's up, my Brody? Brother Vaughn in the building. Still God. Dante. Yeah, Fonte, what up? Yes. Yeah, man. So let's do really quick. Let's do a quick commercial break. Let's go right here really quick. We'll be right back. It's the word from the sponsors. Here we go. Let's go right here. Let's go right here. Peace, beloveds. Thank you for tuning in to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and I appreciate your continuous support. Do you know that over 80% of the people that watch our channel aren't subscribed? By subscribing to our channel, you give us the opportunity to bring on more guests to add more value to our channel. To join our growing community, head over to respectfullygreat.com, sign up for our email list to get exclusive updates on empowering blogs, as well as the latest and greatest in Respectfully Great fashion. Once again, it's nothing but big love, and we value your commitment. Man, that was a wonderful word from my sponsors. none other than himself, um, Johnny Reed himself. Yes, go to respectfully great.com, get your latest and greatest in respectfully great fashion. And you know, what just happened? Okay, we on there. We on? All right, we on there. We locked in. It's good? All right, cool. Yeah, go get your latest and greatest in respectfully great fashion. Go sign up for our blogs. Go thumb up the videos on YouTube. Sign up for the blog. Sign up for our email list so you'll be able to get the latest and greatest in respectfully great fashion. Also, be abreast on what's coming, what's new, what our brand is doing, how we're going to expand, and all these good stuff. So, we want you to continuously be tapped into um our ecosystem so we can continuously grow and be able to get our thoughts and our feelings. My brother Vaughn says, how you doing, Brody? I'm cool and God. I'm feeling blessed today. Today's another day on our Thursday. We had a wonderful topic at hand that we expounded on. It's mainly about finding those that so we break everything. There's three personas, right? We have the internet persona, right? That cyborg person, right? The robot person. Not robot, but ideally we're dealing with through the metaverse, right? That's one aspect. Then we go and we jump over to the person, the physical aspect person. That's what we're talking about. The person that's the real avatar, the person that's right here in the physical, the flesh. And then we go to that other side, that spiritual side, that internal side is what we're talking and expounding about. And we're talking about that from these personas and making sure that we identify who they are, what these personas may look like, how do they show up, and how to be able to utilize each persona to our biggest advantage, right? To let us get to those places in our lives to acquire the things that we want to bring and experience, bring into our worlds and experience. So, with that being said, I want to hint, I want to get a little broken down really quick into each of these personas, just so we have some more insight, right? We had great dialogue surrounding it, but I want to break down some of these keynotes, just so we have some insight um, about these personas. The digital persona. This is the version of you that travels faster than you can. Your digital persona can reach thousands or even millions of people before you ever meet them in person. Before you ever meet them in person. So this has the potential to go reach thousands, millions, hundreds of people all around the world. This is what the internet persona looks like, right? The person that shows up on the internet in all of the media platforms, that digital persona. How about some pros? Able to scale. We talked about scalability. We talked about scaling oneself, scaling your character. That's what happens when you're able to go on the internet. You're able to scale because you're able to reach the masses. Powerful tool. Powerful tool. The internet allows your message, brand, and your personality to travel globally. That's what it does. It allows you to be not only here. You can be over there in China, Venezuela. You could be in art. You could be anywhere around the world, sitting right in your own living room. That's the power of the internet. That's the power of the internet. Is able to travel at the speed of light that fast. That's the potentiality, right? Also, if you are a creator, right? It says for creators like yourself, building a brand and message, the digital persona becomes a megaphone for your mission. Control narrative. You'll be able to control the narrative. You'll be able to strengthen your message through these media platforms. And I think that's a powerful tool, right? You can teach, inspire, educate, and shape perception. Absolutely, that's what we're here doing today. We can create, we can educate, we can strengthen and shape perception, right? Opportunities. There are great opportunities from the internet cyborg persona. Partnerships, audiences, community, and influence often start digitally before they become physical, meaning that it has to go sometimes spread along these journeys on the metaverse, right? In that world, in order for we able to materialize it into the physical. So sometimes some of these things that we want to bring into the real world starts on the internet, starting with that message before it becomes believability, and then after that we hold it on as truth, and then now we can experience it right here in the physical. Powerful. Social media encourages performance instead of authenticity. Yes, that's what it does. Uh Many people build a highlight reel that eventually becomes a prison of expectations. That's a con. Talk to me, Elizabeth. Ed, what's up, my brother? My brother Ed is in the building, man. Respect and love to Ed, man. I appreciate every tapping, Ed. I really do. You just give me more motivation to strengthen the purpose. That's what these things do. This is how the world shows up. Shows up uh, there, and it shows up in the physical in real time. That's the strength and the power of these platforms. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Here are the cons. We just identified some of the pros of being able to have that megaphone and reaching the world and the masses, the scalability when you have the internet. Some of the drawbacks that we can have, the illusion of perfection. A lot of times we think we got to show up perfect. A lot of times we think we have to show up perfect. Sometimes people, I talk to me and my cousin Black all the time. We always talking about sometimes when you see the internet, people only show the highlight reel. People only show the best of the best of their lives, not showing the downsides, not showing when they're going through things. And ideally, sometimes the internet, depending on person, subjective, depending on the person, you may not have to show up and show the vulnerability, right? But a lot of times you can have this narrative around it. Encompassed around that type of narrative, right? The perception, the illusion of perfection, right? The illusion of perfection. Sometimes we show up the perfect as the highlight reel, and we know that life doesn't really work like that. Everybody's not making every jump shot. As good as Steph Curry is, he doesn't make every shot. High probability that he will make majority of them, but ideally, he's not going to make every last one shot, every last shot. So that's that. Uh, the con, which was what I mentioned a little while ago. Social media encourages performance instead of authenticity, meaning that you don't really show up to be authentically you. Sometimes that's a drawback. That's a drawback. Not being able to show up authentically you. Many people build. We read that comparison culture. This is big. A lot of people compare themselves and say, you know what, I'm better than he, she, them, they, etc. So a lot of times we get into this mode of constantly want to compare ourselves, and it could be utilized in two different ways. When I listen to Alex Hormozy, he says that it's not about who you surround around, it's about who you compare yourself to. So a lot of times when you feel stuck and stagnant, you can say, you know what, ideally, I want to be somebody of high esteem. So you ideally look, watch, and see what the person of high esteem does. You say, you know what, I compare myself to them because that's what I want to acquire and bring into my world. Somebody that has this level of prestige and think of themselves worthy of, right? So I think that's a beautiful concept in that aspect. Another drawback on the flip side is that we can get in the comparison thing to where we start comparing what we have to others and not understanding that whatever they have, they acquired through whatever means. And you haven't gone down that path, you didn't do that work. The stars didn't align for you in that manner. So whatever they have, not saying that you can't acquire it, but you haven't became the person to acquire it yet. Circumstances, environment, the workload, whatever may have you, it's just haven't materialized yet. And if you want that, you don't have to get into the negative aspects of it. Say, well, why does he or she have that and not me? That's one of the drawbacks if you're looking at it from a negative way. That's that. Let's go to the physical persona, really, right? Really quick. The physical persona. It says your physical persona is something the internet can never fully replicate, meaning that we can't show up as a doppelganger, right? People want to show up and say, you know what, hey, I'm just like the internet can't show up as a doppelganger. They can't show up as two of you, the replica. You don't want that replica, right? It says your physical persona is something the internet can never fully replicate. So the internet can't fully give all of you. It has a part or portion of you because we just identified that there's many versions of us, right? We named three, which is the cyborg, the internet, the media version. Then we got the physical and real time version, and then we got the internal version, the one that we speak to every day, that's inside of our heads, that most people just don't really get wind of, right? Unless we share that level of sentiment and have that conversation around the internal you. That's that. Another pro, you have real influence in the physical, right? In the personal. We be able to talk to personnel, be able to have things where we can meet, greet, talk, have dialogue, conversation, and people can feel your presence. Powerful thing. Real rooms create real impact. So being inside the room, that matters. Real rooms have real impact. Eye contact, voice tone, humor, empathy, and presence create deeper connections. That's what I'm talking about. Being around it makes you feel more and more connected to it. It's powerful. Get in the room, like my brother and Ellie says. Brother Bones and Eliana says, get in the room. That's what happens when you're inside that room. You feel real connection. That's dope. Trust. People trust what they can experience. Powerful. That's why a lot of times you can't, no matter if a person experience, if a person experience is the thing is this: a person experience is always real to them. David Grahams, what's up, loved one? A person experience is always real to them, so you can't ever negate the fact they experience because it's authentically what it's what they experience. So you can't never negate the fact. Although, like Coach Lucky said, although that is common, that doesn't mean that is correct. Although that's what's familiar to you, that still doesn't define it as being the correct thing. So that's how we sometimes can be misguided because we think just because this thing right here is common, I'm used to this, or I experienced this, that doesn't mean that this is the right way to experience. If you grew up in a physical household where physical abuse was a thing, just because that was the norm to you in normal society, that's not how we're supposed to be communicating, because we see what happens when we get physical. You had two beautiful souls of young girls, due to the act of violence, no longer experiencing this physical world because they were taken to another realm due to the acts of violence. So you see how this, goes further down the line. It may be an initial act that may be familiar to whoever, and then you act that out with another personnel, and then there are consequences for that. Being unalived is one, or you being unalived is another. Taking someone else's life, or your life being taken. Tough pill to swallow. But that's what happens when we don't find ways to communicate. And then we just attach ourselves to what we experience and making it true at all times. One of the drawbacks. A handshake builds more credibility than 1,000 posts. Being able to meet and greet, that interpersonal thing. Like I said with Ronnie, when I've seen the people giving them compliments, handshakes, high fives, remembering people names, all of these things make the experience personal. I was watching something with Noriega, and he was saying that every time he go in the choir or watch, he got to go and sit down and drink a bunch of coffee that he doesn't like, just to make sure that he building that connection and relationship with those other personnels about the future watches that he want to invest in. So that interpersonal connection, being there in real time, that handshake is more valuable than just hitting the like button. That's what he experienced. That's what we're talking about now. We have leadership. Your physical persona is where leadership truly happens. You can move people emotionally in ways the internet cannot. Powerful. When you contact close proximity, that's what that does. Here's some of the cons, right? Limited reach, right? Internet, we got that megaphone. We can reach people all the way in Antarctica, people in Peru, people over there in Spain, people that are over there in Timbuktu, wherever around the world through the power of the internet. Sometimes the reach is limited when you're interpersonal. When you're close proximity, you don't have the access to the whole world when you're in the physical. That's just one of the drawbacks. That's one of the cons. Many people build strong digital identities because they feel less comfortable expressing themselves physically. That's one of the drawbacks. Social anxiety, expectation gaps. Sometimes a person's online persona and real persona feel completely different. That's what happens. That's what happens sometimes where you see an internet persona and a real life persona and that internal persona. Sometimes they're not aligned. They're not aligned. That's okay. But the connection is what we're talking about. Sometimes some people may feel a stronger connection with the person interpersonally. Sometimes people may feel and build a stronger connection with people on the internet. Sometimes that connection within oneself say, this is the strongest connection that I can build outside of, you know, within oneself. There's no other connection that's stronger. No matter what relationship I build with he, she, them, or they, or whatever relationship I build through the internet, maybe that relationship that you have internally is the strongest one. Sometimes these things may vary. Truth be told. What happens when people say this? You're not the same person I thought you were. Sometimes it's like a gut wrench, right? Sometimes when people say, you're not the person I thought you were. Well, the thing is that there was a version of those people. There's a version of you that those people attach themselves to. I experienced this. When I got a little bit older, I got a little bit more wiser. When I changed some of the activities that I got myself involved in, I heard this very, very frequent. I heard people that didn't want to let the old Johnny go keep reminiscing about the old times and the old experiences. And the thing is that those times were what they were, which I appreciate, and I'm just completely appreciative of the relationships I built, the person that I was at the time. It was what it was. But the new improved Johnny is the one that I ideally love to hold on to and try to strengthen, because there's so much more wisdom that I have at this day and age than I had back then. So although the activities, the relationships, some of them I still have long lasting relationships, some of the things that I've acquired back then, some things I've lost since. The beauty of it all is that it's just part of my experience. And the thing is that when people say that you're not who I thought you were, sometimes people attach themselves maybe to the new internet version of you and don't know the person, the physical aspect of you. That's okay. But somewhere along those lines, it was a disconnect for them. But for you, you have a moral obligation to continuously show up as the best version through it all, through the internet, through the physical, and working private on oneself. So that is the gift. That is something that you got to continuously strengthen. And if that doesn't align themselves, if that doesn't attach, if that doesn't find a way to connect with everybody, that's okay. There may be another personnel, there may be another environment that shows up for that person. Maybe you may be in that same space with that person in due time. Maybe I may never cross paths again. But that's just the way how life rolls, right? Because everybody picks up and matures in different ways at different times. Sometimes, and we talked about this all the time, um, time and space. It all depends on what time and space that you occupy. We talked about what's her name? I said her name, Fiona. Fiona, we talked about Fiona Broom. Fiona Broom, about the Mandela effect.
Oh yeah.
There was a time and space where this past event was what it was, and then what it is now is something totally different. And that's just how sometimes life works. It all depends on what time and space that you occupy. Sometimes you may be in a different time and space in your world, in your life, and how you operate. You know, it's funny. I was coming out the train the other day, and I was watching just every person that was having a conversation with Lizzie, me and baby girl talking, and I'm like, yo, think about it. We are going to one destination. Everybody here, there's hundreds of people in the train station. They all are going somewhere. But what's going on in their mind, they are all in a different time and space. I seen some police officers in the subway station. Their mind and their energy and their time and space is in work mode. They are working. You have other people that are going to and from. Some people are going home to prepare for the following day. Some people are going out to have a nightlife. Some people are just, hanging out in the subway station. And I say to myself, although we all are here in the physical, but in mentally, we are all in a different time and space because of what's going on, what's going on in our minds, and where we going and where we're not going. That is something that I thought was super profound. And when you start thinking about things just on those levels, just taking the time out to on a simpler level, just really thinking about, well, what this person is doing, where they going. Everybody got different thoughts is going on in their mind, and that just makes me think about just different times and spaces on how you occupy your time and space. Sometimes people may not be aligned because they're not in the same time and space. Just because a person doesn't want vanilla ice cream and you do, that's your own right. You have the right to have that. Some people not even thinking about ice cream. Some people not thinking about food at all. Some people, some personnel mind right now is thinking about family. Some personnel may be thinking about sports. Some people may be in the gym right now. Some people may be doing a plethora of different things. Everybody's in their own time and space. And that makes me think about, just because I'm not aligned with somebody else's time and space and that personnel is not aligned with mine, that doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. It's just that as of right now, this is the energy that I'm on. This is a space that I occupy. And that's okay for someone else to be doing the same thing. I can accept that. I can accept that. Your internal persona. We almost there, baby. We almost there. The internal persona. This is the most, I would think, one of the most valuable personas. That internal persona. It is the conversation you have within yourself when nobody is watching. When nobody's watching, right? That's the internal persona. Your beliefs, your insecurities, your discipline, your purpose, your integrity. There's so many powerful, positive things that can come from that. Self-awareness is one. Being aware of self, self-aware, being aware of self, your likes, your dislikes, all of these thoughts, the insecurities, being able to identify who you are, where you are, character, powerful. Your internal voice helps you evaluate decisions and direction. The internal voice help you evaluate decisions and direction. Get that compass, that navigation. How are we going to get to our next destination? Sometimes that internal voice is the guide. That is the blueprint. That is the guide. That internal voice. It gives you alignment. That's what it does. When your internal persona is strong, it keeps your digital and physical personas honest. Woo-hoo! That's the one. Let me say that one more time. This is powerful. When your internal persona is strong, it keeps your digital and the physical personas honest. I think that is super, super profound. That is super, super profound. So that means that be truthful and honest with oneself internally. Be truthful and honest with oneself internally. And then everything else on the outside, it keeps those things in alignment. It keeps those things in check. When you're on the internet, it keeps your internet persona in check. It keeps your personal, your physical persona in check as well. When you're truthful about who you are internally. That is super, super profound. Resilience. A healthy internal identity protects you from public opinion and online criticism. I love this. A healthy internal identity protects you from public opinion and online criticism. People going to have something to say. People going to have something to say. You may be targeted. You may be targeted because other personnel, since they're not rooted in their beliefs, they want to throw stones at yours. Hopefully that you can break your belief system up. That's how it goes. There are going to be things that test you. Environment may test you. You see another personnel that had to have an opposing opinion that may challenge you. What do you do? What do you do then? What do you do then? What do you do then? See, what I do is I learned not to take myself so serious. I used to get called for different personnel at times a perfectionist because I just took long to complete tasks. What I learned to do along my journey is that not to be so critical of oneself. We talking about it now, how other people are going to criticize you. We're going to deal with the opinions and criticisms of other people. So why should I be so hard on myself? How about I be more open and more lenient on self? Allow myself to make mistakes. Allow myself to be to make fun of oneself. Not I don't have to be always perfect, right? I get perfection through the breeding grounds of flaw. I get perfection through the breeding grounds of flaw because now I know where some of the errors are and I can perfect those on the next go round. Sometimes I may be stuttering. Sometimes I talk too fast. Sometimes I have so many thoughts going on in my mind. I just ramble, blah, 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 blah. I mess up words. Sometimes I get the wrong analogies. Sometimes I get the wrong definitions of words. I told you entropy and atrophy. I used to get confused every time because I used to use them both interchangeably. Atrophy means get smaller in size. Entropy leads to disorder and chaos. But the only way that I get real familiar with it is if I continuously use the words. They say if you don't use it, you lose it. So I get in habits of constantly trying to rework things that I want to, things that I want to become part of me. whether it's my vocabulary, whether it's my ideas, whether it's my belief system. I continuously rework these things every day in the midst of the fire, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of things just going wrong. Right now, I don't have my soundboard, but it's not stopping the mission. All it's doing is making me get perfection in due time. Make sure that maybe in the near future I have backup equipment. Make sure that I have, do different testing, not just the day of the podcast, but maybe 2, 3 days in front of the podcast, and make sure that I got other resources in due time, just in case that if a piece of equipment goes down, what can I do in order to upkeep the level of quality that I want to pump out? That's how you learn, but not be too hard on myself. Allow myself to be human. Yeah, there gonna be some things occasionally that I make some mistakes on, but ideally, it's gonna make me a better person in due time. It's okay. It's okay. So I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. That's the whole premise of me saying that. Don't be too hard on yourself because you're gonna have opinions and criticisms of the world. It's just what it is. Um, Negative narratives. Sometimes we tell the wrong stories about ourselves internally. That's one of the drawbacks when we start to be in our own minds and our own heads. We can't get out of our own heads. We start writing the negative narratives, the old stories that is not favorable to who we are and where we're trying to go. We got to rewrite those new stories. We got to practice rewriting the parts of history that we once experienced from the best perspective. Yes, you went through trauma. Yes, you went through abuse. Yes, you was taken advantage of. Yes, there's people that picked on you. Yes, there's all those other aspects. But if you are here today, you can rewrite that story. You can say, no, those were the people that felt that they had to take advantage of me because I'm the one that had the real strength, so they felt threatened. So they felt that they had to, do things to me to poke fun because I really had the strength. I just wasn't aware of how strong I was. So they recognized my strength before I did. So every time somebody negated you in the past and you looked at that at one point in time as a negative, nah. How about we rewrite that as strength? Now they knew I was strong. So that's why they try to do anything to break me. And I'm still here today because they didn't break me. So now what that shows you right now, this day and age, even at times when you didn't have the wherewithal, you didn't have the strength that you had back then. Now you have it. Now you have the resources. Now you have all of these other things. You think somebody can break you now? Oh no, you 10 times stronger. Because before you was a little bit more vulnerable, right? Because you didn't have the physical attribute. You didn't have the mental stability. You didn't have the world to connect with and let your story be heard. So you didn't have access to the internet to be able to have connection with other people around the world that may have experienced or gone through some of the things that you are going through. You didn't find the right tribe. You didn't find the right community as of yet. Now you have all these things. So now when people try to come and try to break you down, now you look at them, man, you better get out yourself. I'm not the one to be broken. Not the one to be broken. Say something, Lizzie. Talk to me.
And then Ashby said, making mistakes only makes us greater.
Come on, loved one. It's my cousin Killer. My cousin Brandon just said, yo, he just said, man, making mistakes. Say it one more time. So I say verbatim.
Making mistakes only makes us greater.
Making mistakes only makes us greater. Nah, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Sometimes we gotta go through things in order to build up that level of strength, that level of discipline. Sometimes that shiny object syndrome seems so good. Seems so good. Because in the moment, we in that moment, we say, you know what, right now, I just feel on top of the world. But what we gotta do is we gotta plan like the ant. See, when it's wintertime, when it's summertime, the ant plant go stores the food for the winter. So we got to think like the ant. Whatever season that it's in is preparing for the next season. So although things may be good, we gotta prepare sometimes when there's turmoil. And when things are rough, we still gotta think in our minds, it's gonna be a time where everything is working out for my better and my greater good. Because I know that time's gonna come. Nothing, things are only temporary. So we don't want to have a permanent mindset around a temporary situation. We don't want to say, you know what, right now I'm supposed to think that there's no way to overcome in a temporary situation. We don't want to make permanent decisions in a temporary situation. So that's why we always got to have some checks, some systems where we just have a what do you call it? Not a check and balance system, but similar to it. But like a system to where we just being able to check What's the name of it? It's drawing me blank, right? But what do you call it? It's just a system to where you have protocol, right? I was watching something from Big Homie CC, and he was saying that what he do amongst him and his airlights, what they do is that they got protocol. So when something is going on, they communicate. Hey, simply even with your child when they're going to and from. Hey, call me when you get to that place. Are you going to school? Call me when you get on the premises. Call me when you get out of school. Let me know when you're on your way home. Make sure that we all checking in at all times to make sure that we got protocol. Because if I don't get that phone call within 30, 40 minutes, okay, something is up. We got to learn this even with our children, but even get back to the system of making sure that we put these systems in place to make sure that we are governed and we are safe. The body politic. We talked about this a few episodes back. The body politic. What policies are we putting in place to govern self and the people that we love and the people that we protect? I think we have to do these things more frequently, more often, because it gives us a leverage. It gives us to make sure that we have a ecosystem. Hey, if our children is doing something on the way home from school, they being bad, that bad news will beat you home. So your neighbor gonna know, then the next door neighbor know, and then your mom and them, your parents, they already know what's going on. So when you walk through that door, what's going on? You already know. Everybody know. The whole block know because the community was raising the children. So now we got to do this with oneself. We got to do this with one. We got to put these systems in place for self and make sure that we impose them. We put them in place for everybody to be in unison with it, and making sure that we just all follow protocol. But these are the things that we got to be learned and taught. And we got to say, you know what, let's be diligent. Let's hold each other accountable and be responsible. So when things are out of alignment, okay, there's consequences for that. You never follow protocol. Big homie CC said that's what they do amongst him and his peoples. He said that when like he's got his brothers called Dugar, whatever the peoples are. He said that in general, because he does security. So he says when he does security, when they go and they scan the building and they doing certain things and they trying to rescue children from child predators and they go on the rescue missions, whatever they doing, they said they all just follow protocol. So they make sure that they all be able to get home back safe to their families. And I think these are the things that we got to implement more when it comes to who we are and what we stand for in our own communities, because this is how we're going to be able to protect one another. I think that's powerful. Um, uh, let's go with we almost there. I think we there. I think we there. It's good. Let's have a closing statement really quick, right? Uh, your digital persona is your broadcast. Your physical persona is your presence. But your internal persona is your truth. If the truth is strong, the broadcast and the presence will always stay in line. But if your truth is weak, eventually the performance collapses. Nothing else to be said from there. That internal truth we got to strengthen. That internal truth is what we have to strengthen. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some work. But we got nothing but time and space. So we got to make the best of it. We got time and space. So we got to make the best of it. So whoever's not in alignment, they're in a different time and space. But you can create that ecosystem within you, with yours, here, with our family here. We can hold each other accountable and hold true to the internal truth and build up that internal truth of what we feel and what we know about each other, what we know about ourselves. Constantly build that up. Have the confidence to do such, and everything else will work itself out. Man, this has been a powerful, powerful episode. This is our 54th episode. Round of applause again. Woo! Round of applause for everybody that showed up in real time. Woo! Round of applause for everybody that will see this in due time. Woo! Yo, you are tremendously loved. We know you love other people. That internal truth That's who we stay rooted with and connect with more and love the most. You can't love nobody else if you don't love yourself. And the way you show that you love yourself is by protecting oneself, loving yourself, staying true to who you are, your belief system, the things you prioritizing. Make sure that these things are always present, because, like we said, that if your eternal truth is in alignment, that means that the cyborg, the internet persona, the physical, the real time person, all of those things will be in alignment as well. If this video was if this video served you in a positive manner, um, use the knowledge, apply it, and do those things that you can apply. If whatever applied tonight, whatever you've seen doesn't apply, just let it fly. Right? Understand that we did this with the sentiment of trying to help build and strengthen, not to deter, weaken, and misguide. So, um, ideally, we just want to continuously go out there and live our truths and continuously build, and not just a disclaimer, not be false, not just carry false narratives, right? We want to be people just of truth. So that's why we continuously gonna push out our truth and then test our truths with other truths and come up with the real truth, right? Because there's only one truth off of principle. So we'll continue to do those things. Um, Love other people, love what you do, love yourself even more, and continuously being respectfully great. Right. So I will see you next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. And hopefully I get my equipment back so we be able to have the soundboard, the bells, the whistles, and all that good stuff. Be able to use my good old mic and all that. Right. So I will see you next week. Don't forget to like, thumb up these videos, share, tell somebody else, whoever needs to hear this. Yeah, just do that thing, right? And I'll see you next week, man. If there's anything that come across your path, let me know. Hit me in the chat, and we go from there. I will see you next week, next Thursday, same time again. Respectfully.